of education of this country. I express a word of welcome. Also welcome to all the students and their colleagues and participants. Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, we thank you and praise you for giving us this space and opportunity to come together to know more about the education policies implemented by the government. Lord, as all of us are aware, this has been done after careful consultations and conversations. However, there are doubts and speculations. Through this seminar, give us enough space, wisdom, discernment to understand more about the new education policies. We thank you and praise you for the gifts and skills of Dr. Jancy James and all the participants. We offer this prayer to Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, may I invite Reverend Rajan Moses for the welcome speech.
The respected Principal, Reverend Dr. C.I. DR.JANCY, our distinguished Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Jancy James, the members of the family of late Reverend V.T. Kurian Achan, overseas friends, respected bishops, members of KUTS Governing Council, faculties, and students. I am very happy to welcome you all to this series of webinar. Indeed, it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Dr. Jancy James, who was the first women vice chancellor in Kerala, especially served in Mahatma Gandhi University from 2004 to 2008, and the founder vice chancellor, Central University of Kerala from 2009 to 2014. She was a Commonwealth Fellow for postdoctoral research in British women's drama for 1 year in the University of Warwick, UK, 1997 to 1998. She was founder director of Center for Comparative Literature, University of Kerala, during the year 1992 to 2004. She is an outstanding scholar, teacher, writer, and an eminent administrator. She already proved her excellencies in various areas in national and international platforms. She served as member of Executive Council of Jawaharlal University, New Delhi, and Central University of Gujarat. She was a member of Governing Council, Association of Indian Universities, 2013 to 2014. Now, I warmly welcome Professor Dr. Jancy James to present a paper. The theme of the paper is Challenges of the New Educational Policy. It's very relevant and a contemporary topic to be discussed and reflected very seriously. Reverend Nainan Jacob will moderate this session. Jancy ma'am, I will present a paper for 30 minutes and the students will have time for interaction and reflection for 15 minutes. Once again, I welcome Professor Dr. Jancy James to present the paper and request Reverend Nainan to moderate this session. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rajan Moses. Thank you for your welcome speech. And now it is the time for the presentation. May I welcome Professor Dr. Jancy James for presenting the paper. Now, your time, you can present.
Can you hear me, Father?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Reverend Father Principal Joy David, Father Radhan Moses, Father Nainan, who is moderating this lecture session, members of the family of Reverend Father V.T. Kurian, members of the faculty and the family of this seminary, and all those who are listening to me in this hot afternoon in Kerala, but I think cold in the northern parts of India. A big namaskar to all of you. At the very outset, let me thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share with you the common concerns that all of us are bothered with as people working in the field of education. The National Education Policy 2020, well, it does not just come out of the blue. We have had several considerations, consultation meetings, think tanks, several meetings at different forums and all over the country before it actually took shape as a 60+ page document. In fact, there was an earlier 400-page plus draft document, which was going around the country. I was also part of, giving inputs to that document. It got reduced to this 60+, precisely because many of us educationists could not agree with some of the inputs in this document. Well, this is a historical document because we are having a policy document on education after 34 years. The last one was in 1986, although we had a slight modification and got introduced one in 1992. Basically, we've been going by the 1986 policy. So this is a historical, document. And it is also a document at a time, prepared at a time when not only India, but the whole world is into a big change. And even the changes, more changes have taken place after the document was released as National Education Policy 2020. This present crisis that all of us are in, COVID, has actually added a different dimension of change to the changes, the massive changes that have overtaken the world, particularly the growing young world. Basically, this policy is in very much in tune with the sustainable development goals as announced by United Nations. It's actually a kind of a preparation. Those goals are actually a preparation, a body of preparation for how we should operate, how we should prepare ourselves for our sustainable development by 2030. And the goals relating to education and the sustainable development goals, they are very important. Learning to learn, learning to do, learning to live with one another, and learning to be. That is learning to, understand oneself, establish oneself, renew oneself. Well, the first one, learning to learn, is very much a component of this particular national education policy. I'll come to that a little later. Well, there is a philosophy. In any policy, there is a vision, there is a philosophy. There is a roadmap, how we should go, why we should go like this, why do we do this. So, as the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister himself stated, this particular document, this policy, is to make the youth of India future ready. So it is a futuristic document. As I said, taking into consideration all the changes that are, sweeping above us across countries, across all boundaries. Basically, this particular document mandates the development of the student as a holistic personality. It is not enough if you just gather cognitive dimensions of education, just, collection of facts or passing a degree is not enough, but the total development of the personality. Simultaneously, this development of the personality would mean a person who is self-reliant, a person who can live in peace, in harmony with one another, a person who is proud of the heritage, tradition, and the resources, the wealth, the spiritual, material, cultural wealth of his country, a person who is very well versed with the history and the goals of the nation. So this policy at the very beginning stipulates this idea of integrating the global changes with the requirements of our own nation. Actually, I've been asked to talk about the challenges, but let me give a basic structure regarding the major changes in our, in the present existing education system. We are going in for a major change in the school system and also in the higher education system. School system, I think who are listening to me may not consider that as important, but still, one of the major changes is that preschool education, early child care development. Early child care has been given great importance in the school education period. So instead of the earlier structure, we have a 5 + 3 + 3 + 4 by the time the student passes out as a 12th, +2 passed student. He has gone through this structure. So the first 5 years, that is till the second grade is over. From 3 to 6, it is early childcare, and then first standard and second standard. This has been given great importance. Even the nutritious food is given importance. It's a great change, no doubt about it. Then there's a change in 6th standard. From 6th standard onward, the child will be given some initiation into skill development. And talking about the challenges, we need not only in the school curriculum, school structure change, but at the higher education level also. The most important requirement for the successful implementation of this policy is preparing what shall I say, a very efficient and efficacious mentoring system. The students require proper, healthy, professional counseling, psychological counseling as to what the student should do, how he should learn, what he should take up as a skill development course or program when he comes to 6th standard. Because already the complaint is there. Oh, are you going to dismiss some of the students as just, plumbers and, electricians and just technicians? Already the complaint has come up. But the aim of this change is actually to give an orientation to the children in the initial aspects of work, practical work. The value of hands, it's very important. At the same time, this should not encourage, this should not motivate the student to stop the studies after learning some kind of skill, some job, and then, just stop the education. So that's why I said we need proper mentoring. We need teachers who can, not only teachers, but counselors who are appointed for the same in order to guide the student. And also in the school level, there is another change, and that is about the language of study. The language, the student can learn up to 8th standard even in the mother tongue. This is a change. But again, the challenges are that, we have already had a proliferation of English medium schools all over the country. Would they walk back? And also, do we have the curriculum? Do we have the content in our own regional languages, in Indian regional languages, on a par with the English medium texts, which is a great, it's a major challenge actually. So let me now pass on to higher education, which is actually our common consideration at this forum. There, we are going to have a multidisciplinary education, which is also called a liberal arts education. So where not only the structure, but also the content, the curriculum, the perspective, the outcome, that's very important. It's going to be the evaluation of the success of this program, these changes, this implementation. The criterion is going to be outcome based. Where does the student reach? Has he got a job after the education? After taking BSc Botany, where has he landed? Is he happy? Has he got a job? Is a job in tune with what he has gained as a degree? Securing a degree, has it helped him? So outcome-based evaluation is going to be one of the major issues, major concerns in this higher education changes. And also the graduation is going to be a 4-year course where you have what is now called the honors course, where you can have a majoring and also minor courses, where you can have a multiple courses. You can even, it's also advocating a seamless university, a borderless university, according to which a student can take 2 credits from any university in any part of the country and even abroad, and add the credit to the credits of the course that he's taking in his parent institution. This is a revolutionary change. When I was a vice chancellor, some of us, particularly the new 16 Central University vice chancellors, this was our dream. We used to see at least among these 16 universities, if our students could, just walk into these, walk in and out of these universities and take the courses taken by brilliant teachers. Well, I like this teacher. I want to be in the class of this particular teacher. So I will take a course, offered by him. Would that be possible? We used to wonder. But this policy seems to be offering that opportunity. So the student need not confine himself to the classroom or the course in the parent institution where he is joined. He can take courses from other. These courses would be actually considered and counted for the fulfillment of the qualification for the degree that he's taking. He can also walk out multiple entries and multiple exits. After 2 years, he can take a degree, a diploma, and walk out, get a job, and come back after he has settled in a job and made some money, come back and complete his course. He can also take, after 3 years, a degree. He can go in for a 4th-year course and take a complete degree so that he can walk into the PG, where the PG has got only 1-year course. So instead of the 1-year PG, after a 4-year graduation, you can have a 1-year PG and then complete your postgraduate education and become a postgraduate. You don't have value for MPhil anymore. You can take a PhD after your MSc or MA. But you have other, other entrance testing mechanism to ensure that you are really qualified and eligible for undertaking PhD program. Now, this particular new structure, the policy says the teacher is the center of this new educational policy. In another part of the document, they say the faculty is the heart of the policy. So this is a very important thing, that teachers have to play a vital role, not in teaching, but as facilitators, as mentors, as foreseers, as sages, as friends, as also people who keep learning, not as learned people, but as learning people. In fact, this policy convinces us about the necessity or inevitability of keeping everybody updated day by day, minute by minute. Well, I have my children, young people, my daughters and my sons-in-law, who are in the corporate world, working in the corporate field. They often tell me Amma, if we don't learn daily, we are out of a job. And whatever we learned at our, they are MBAs and engineers, whatever we learn, sometimes we have to completely unlearn and relearn. So this continuous process of learning, because of the great changes in not only in the field of employment, but in the field of learning, in artificial intelligence and whatnot, the whole world is changing in health, in healthcare, in lifestyle, in business. So unless education gives us the mindset, the training to think and learn, as I had said at the beginning, the Sustainable Development Goals had this as a major concern, learning to learn. The new education policy reinforces this particular need of the student and the teacher to be perpetually and permanently updated and to acquire the mind and preparedness for the same. So what do they do for that? Even teaching education, teacher education is undergoing a great change. From 2030, it's going to be a 4-year B.Ed program, which means the policy takes into consideration the job of the teacher as vital. And the teachers, I think when I talk about the challenges being a teacher, probably what worries me is this actually. See, we are proud of Indian education system, in Kerala particularly, the literate state and all that. But there is also the sad story that our education quality is that, leaves much to be desired. Very, very, what shall I say, unsuitable, inappropriate, and below the standard in many ways. What happened to our education? Definitely, there are many reasons. You can say that, there has been a lack of priority in the field of education on the part of administrators, on the part of not only administrators, but on the part of the governance, in vis-a-vis funding support. The major challenge of this policy is that we don't have financial resources. The policy says that 6% of GDP will be allotted for the implementation of NEP 2020. Well, even 6% is not enough, but would that take place? That is a great challenge, because you see, I have been telling you, I have not even told you even half of the major changes. You see, all these changes would require many, it would involve a lot of financial expenses, even physical infrastructure. I told you about the opportunity to take different courses. I worked in the University of Kerala in the Department of English, where we had absolute freedom. We modified the curriculum, we were our own curriculum makers. University departments are autonomous. We made our own curriculum. We gave the students opportunities to take courses from other departments. But unfortunately, we don't have the classrooms to seat these students parallelly. If they want to take 3-4 courses at the same time, where are the rooms? So infrastructure, physical infrastructure itself is a difficulty. Academic infrastructure, the availability of people who are suitable to give the courses that the students read, that the students require. We have in the prospectus the list of courses, but most of the institutions actually offer only the courses that they intend to do. If you join a particular department or a particular college now, only those courses will be offered. They are not in a position to offer other courses. It is just a dream. It's a possibility. So heavy investment in the improvement and modification of the physical infrastructure. Second, faculty. Even now, we have I must say, very unforgivable lapse in filling up the faculty. There is a heavy shortage of teachers all over the country, at all levels, in schools and particularly in higher education. And when we have that, and when we need to appoint qualified faculty, again, money is an issue. Money and so many other aspects. So major challenge, money, number one. Number two, qualified faculty who have a proper perception of what quality education is, what the best practices in teaching are, what is the best curriculum. Now, I know that, see, as an educator, the philosophy, the vision, all this rhetoric in this, policy is so fascinating. I can make a speech for 3 to 4 hours, just talking about the philosophy of this policy. But the implementation is the problem. As we all know, education is in the concurrent list. The state does have a lot of privileges and rights in the matter of education. So any attempt to homogenize or centralize the education system in India will be detrimental to democracy, will be detrimental to the very culture and stature of Indian, of Indian polity and Indian population, Indian people, the diversity of this country, the cultural diversity, the religious diversity, the geographical diversity. So we have been a little disorganized regarding our, system, all our systems, but it's a part of this overpopulated country with such diversities. But this tying together, arbitrary tying together and centralization and homogenizing, destroying the heterogeneous, diverse nature of our culture under a single tie, that is going to be dangerous, particularly in education. So the challenge is to dismiss, to solve this contradiction in the policy. On one level, we have the offer of multidisciplinary course. You take philosophy, you can also learn, music. You take maths, you can also do some botany. Wonderful, wonderful combination. Multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, transdisciplinary approach. All these things are wonderful things. But at the same time, preparation of the curriculum, the content of the curriculum, who is going to do this? NCT says that they will do it for, for the school. So how about the regional history? How about the regional culture? How about all the happenings, all the developments, all the requirements in the different, regionalities of India? Would that be considered? So the fact that we are on the concurrent list, would that facilitate and privilege us to take freedom to organize and design our own curriculum, which will be suitable to our children? The policy again says that education should be related to environment, that environmental problems should be solved. The education should be framed in such a way that it has the resources to solve the problem of even, pollution, whatever. So environmental issues, social issues, cultural issues, environmental issues, all these things, education should give the student the opportunity to find solutions for all these things. So if regional concerns are also going to be part of the education, it is going to be it's going to be really, a welcome change. But again, as I said, if the federal system, the texture of federal system, the principle and life, the spirit of federal system is ignored, then I think this policy can become actually more harmful than useful. So that is one thing. The other thing that I would, according to me, is actually, you see, employability is a great thing. And we talk about the population dividend, the demographic dividend of our nation. We are a young nation. The next decade, India is going to supply the largest number of young people to the world, to the global workforce. So 11.6 crores is not a small number. Even China comes only second. So this is our wealth. So are we really in a position to give them the appropriate, necessary preparedness? We pride over this demographic dividend, but are we really giving them the right kind of orientation? I'm also a little concerned about the models that are given, in this policy. There are references to as models Nalanda, Vikramshila, Takshashila, universities, which were our pride as part of our heritage. There are also references to Kadambari. So not that we are against any of these, great literatures and universities, but are they the only models? Would the mention of these and only the mention of this, the point is the silence about certain other institutions and other methods and other resources, other texts, that is what worries us. Are these going to be the exclusive source of inspiration and motivation for framing the new education? So at the implementation level, only Kadambari would come to the mind. And also the other problem is, see, we are told that colleges would come to a standstill. Only autonomous colleges and learning and research universities, which means in some parts of this country, particularly the backward, parts of this country, there will be no higher education institution where ordinary people with low income, people in the marginalized section of society would not find access to education. Autonomous colleges are expensive because they maintain a quality establishment and quality education. It will be expensive. So the other, I remember I was at a meeting, I was at a webinar like this, where the person, the member secretary of this policy document, of the committee which framed this document was there. Shakila was there. She was saying, well, institutions without quality will wither away. This is a very important issue, because on one side we are genuinely concerned that some of the institutions are running very undesirable, are maintaining very undesirable standard quality in education. At the same time, instead of giving them an opportunity to level them up, to come up and improve them, to wind them up would mean denying opportunity for students in the marginalized section, particularly in the backward areas of India, any opportunity for education. So what will happen then? Then what will happen is the private, engineers, the private owners would come to the field. Naturally, the private sector, the commercial sector would make education highly expensive. Again, this might lead to a big divide, a social divide, a financial divide, a criminal divide among the youth of India. The policy says it is actually to make youth future ready. But are we going to make the future ready just for a handful, for a few people? So this very important issue has to be taken. And I think because it's time, and I think I look forward to the questions from the students. You see, what we should now do is, the states have the freedom. The states should immediately plunge themselves into preparation for the implementation of this policy. Let the states prepare according to their requirements, the cultural, social, financial, educational, requirements of the state. Each state is different. Let them prepare the curriculum. Let them prepare the content. Let them prepare the structure. Let them also organize the infrastructure. And then once it is ready, I'm sure that a central thing is getting ready already. It will come. But we should have something, to counter that. So there will be an integration of what is coming from the center, with all good intentions, let us hope, what is coming from the center, but which will be inadequate, which will not be sufficient for meeting our requirements. So It is high time. I'm so happy that you are preparing, a forum for this everywhere. Saramur University, wherever, everywhere. You have to think seriously of what this, policy is. And I think the students should definitely have a proper read of this policy. Every teacher should read this policy because it is challenging. It is also exciting. I wish I were a teacher. I had not gone out of service. I love teaching. And also before I complete, to all those who are listening to me, the young people, teaching is a wonderful profession, the noblest profession. It's also a spiritual activity. You're always with people, the growing minds, and what you give them is going to stay, is going to be a big light and lamp for them. So I think this national education policy, apart from the fact that it places teachers in the center of the document, it also should motivate those who are studying now, motivate the students to become good teachers, taking, understanding, absorbing the philosophy and vision, the best part of it from the policy, and prepare themselves to become good teachers. And I think spirituality and teaching go together very well. The greatest teacher that the history has ever seen was Jesus Christ. Well, no methodology can defeat his methodology. He could teach, he could address the hills, he could address the river, he could address anything and still make himself so clear. So let me complete. I mentioned about the, language. There is a what shall I say? There is a big suspicion apart whether certain languages would be forced upon the children. I think they have minimized and they have moderated that issue. Now the offer is that you need not learn, Hindi compulsorily. You need not learn Sanskrit as a compulsive thing. But let me share with you one thing. English is a global language. Every student should learn English and should, once he completes his education, should come out with the capability to manage and handle English language. I'm not saying felicitously, but error-free English. I'm so sad when I think that, even postgraduate students are not able to give a leave application without grammatical errors. That is a tragedy of our education system. So language learning is a very important component of this education. English is important. Mother tongue is very important. If I were given an opportunity, I would have spoken in Malayalam. I'm an English professor, but I love my mother tongue. I'm also a writer in Malayalam. So the more you learn, the more languages you learn, the mightier you are. It's a power, language. Communication is a power. And Jesus Christ was the greatest communicator. Oh, he uses whatnot, parables and stories and enigmas and what all. What brilliant way of communication. So communication is very important. Creativity, communication, innovation, very important as the new education policy tells us. So learning Sanskrit is not going to harm anyone. Let it not come like a force on you, and it's a compulsory thing on you. But Sanskrit is a wonderful language. It tells us so much about our culture. Great classical literatures are abundant in Sanskrit. Learn it, no problem. But then it should not be, at the, what shall I say, at the cost of your ability to communicate properly. Now, I think it's happening all over the country. Manglish in Kerala, Banglish in Bangladesh, Hinglish in Hindi-speaking areas. There is a mix with the result that you know neither your own mother tongue nor English language. So I think even before the policy is going to be issued, I hope that the existing educational institutions would give importance to the learning of language and acquisition of communicative competency as vital in education. Let me stop there. I'm not stopping, but I'm just looking forward to questions and queries. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your marvelous and interesting presentation. It was nice, and you have presented the positive sides and also the negative sides of the new education policy, and you have discussed the challenges of new education policy. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now, dear friends, we have 15 minutes for the discussion, and you already heard about the challenges and the possibilities of the new education policy of India. And I know you have many doubts and many queries, and it is a time for express your queries, and the floor is now open. You can express your queries, and the ma'am will give you the answer or clarification after getting your questions.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Jancy James, for the wonderful presentation. I am passionate in the sense you are a person who have been part of the developing this policy at various stages through your contributions, presentations, conversations, and of course, as Vice Chancellor of two leading universities. And of course, you have touched from primary level to the religious level. Excellent. My question is quite straightforward and simple. Do you think this education policy, a new education policy, as many of our young people and educationalists perceive, will enhance the social change in terms of equality, freedom, justice, and human rights? I'm not making a cliche query, but in the sense, like Western countries and other places where you see equality and freedom, whether this new education policy through various components will enhance the social justice element.
Thank you, Father. That is the worrying question, all over. You see, now, as I said, all that we can do now is to make use of our right, because our education is in the concurrent list. So we have to actually prepare first. Instead of, talking about this and, it's going to harm us, it's going to saffronize, all these things. Let us identify, let us fix, let us decide, and let us offer what we have, what we want, how we want it to be. Nobody can question or oppose the philosophy of this document. Nobody can question that. But at the same time, at the implementation level, that's why I said, if Vikramshila and Nalanda are the only models of universities that India can, imitate, then, we begin to be suspicious. And secondly, the divide is going to be a genuine issue. Unless the public sector institutions are empowered, there will be definitely a deprival and a denial of rights to people in the marginalized section of society. Because it's not possible. This kind of education is going to be really expensive. Even foreign universities are allowed to come. According to this policy, foreign universities can come. See, when foreign universities land here, again, we say it will lead to competition, and so it will be good. But there is the other side. It's going to make education costlier and costlier. And there will be a comparison. Naturally, those who have money would make it more fascinating, more attractive, which also means more money. And where is the money? Money will have to be taken from the stakeholders, from the poor parents. And how many of us are really willing to do that? So there are certain problems, and the political situation also is something which gives us a lot of anxiety. There is in this democratic country, even the opposition has become namesake. So there is nobody who learns and makes a study of the situation and opposes and counters issues which need to be countered. So there is the anxiety, but at the same time, I think I attended many forums, where, for example, KCBC had organized a meeting. You see, we have to prepare documents. See, instead of talking, webinars and Zooms are fascinating. I'm just sitting at home relaxed and I can go on giving a lecture. But we have to prepare documents. We have to make, proper, what shall I say, lasting document and, statements regarding what we want and what we don't want in this. Let us be open about what we do not conform to, what would harm us. Let us also give a solution, limiting it to our own state. You cannot take it as a national issue. There may be, so many people who really love all those things that we dislike in this policy. So it is going to be a regional thing. It is going to be highly regional, and regionality is our strength. What the policy, I think, has forgotten is that the regionality is a strength of this country, that the diversity is a strength of this country. It is easy for an arbitrary administrator to rule when all think alike, all work alike, all are slaves alike. Education is not to enslave people. You are right, Father Father David. You are right. There is a room for anxiety, but I think we should not just sit back and mourn over this. We have to prepare a document. We have to organize and mobilize our intellectual resources to counter it intellectually and academically.
Yes.
I hope there will be questions, and you should not simply accept what I say.
Yeah, friends.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, Jacob, please.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for the good evaluation and commenting on the new education policy. See, I'm stressing on the practicality of this new education policy. And in the wider sense, it is not the practicality of this NEP. I need to know about the practicality of this education system which we are dealing with. See, I have learned bachelor's in commerce, and then I went for the master's in commerce. I've learned a lot of things for the master's in commerce. For example, amalgamation process, external reconstruction process. All these things I've gone through it. But when I get a job, or I'm giving an example for you. When I get a job, I actually am not going through all these things. I won't be touching all these things, and what I'm doing is something which is very different, or which something which I've not at all learned or come across with. So there is a wide disparity in the case of this practicality. What we learn in our education system, what we learn in our colleges, there is no practicality at all. And this is what, when my teachers also stressed on this point, that is practicality is actually not at all taken into consideration in this education system. So how this new education policy stress about this practicality? How are we going to ensure this practicality in our education system? And how can we provide some good measures to improve this practicality?
Yeah, ma'am, so sorry, before starting, I request all the participants to keep your video on, because we are taking a photograph. So keep your videos on for another 10 minutes. So we will take the photograph. Thank you.
Well, Jasron, very good question. Well, often we end up in jobs which have nothing to do with what we learned. But that's a reality. But you see, the policy, although not too much, but it does refer to the fact that there should be an industry-academia linkage in the preparation of curriculum. What's happening in our universities now? See, who gives job and who teaches? No connection. So actually the Board of Studies, which actually creates the curriculum, should have at least as invitees. If the statute of the university does not permit an industrial come and sit along with the academicians, at least as an invited guest, let somebody from the industry, from the companies, from the corporate, from the job giving side, from the employer side, be there, let them be there in the Board of Studies, which actually prepares the curriculum, the syllabus. And the curriculum should have content which relates to the employing side. Fortunately, India is one country where we simply ignored this. We still had that colonial hangover. British had a different purpose in giving us education. We still go by that. So this is the only solution. In a way, this this new education policy, by making education multidisciplinary, that is, you can take a course. If you want to go for a job, and if you think that by taking 2 credits in communication, for example, in communicative competency or in facing interview techniques, if you think you want to take 2 credits in that particular course, you can take it if this new policy is implemented. But the problem is, as I earlier said, would there be time? Would the timetable, would the schedule, would the rooms, would the teaching faculty, would the everything would be arranged so that the student will be given the opportunity. And also, let me tell you, you don't have to worry that your BCom or MCom didn't help. My son who did hotel management because somebody gave him the idea. Then he went in for MBA, and now he's working in a bank in abroad. And he says, "Amma, whatever I learned, I had simply to forget." But he's now an IT man. He's not an engineer. He's an IT man. He had to learn. So learning is a must. Even if our education system tunes itself to the best, into the best practices, you will not be able to manage with what you simply have learned. So this updating is one thing, but to include the necessary component for getting a job, the employability aspect in the curriculum, that I'm sure the policy is very well aware of that, and it will take care of that. But unfortunately, if I share with you, as a Vice Chancellor, I have always had very unpleasant experiences. Teachers were very, very unwilling to change the syllabus. Even if there is a simple change, a slight change, it was the teachers who actually resisted. I was very sad about it, but now I think things are changing, I hope. So that was one thing. And also inclusion of faculty, inclusion of members in the board of studies, that the curriculum making body. All those places we have been very, very wrong. Very, very, what should I say, criminally wrong to the students. So I hope that this will change, and also the methodology of teaching. How many students know to make a project proposal? Very important when you get a job. How many students know learning? How many students know the methodology of research? If you're giving, a paper, I think now online learning is catching up, but I think this generation is called the the A3 generation. Availability of information from anywhere, anytime, any kind of information, the A3. But at the same time, if you give a project or assignment to a student, what the student does it, he will go to the site easily. Availability of information, plentiful. He will take, cut, paste, then play with fonts and colors, spiral line, finish. But if you ask him what he has done, he doesn't know. So a cut and paste generation, it has degraded itself into. All these things we have to change. And teachers would very safely give the evaluation between 60 and 70 so that no complaint, no problem, no disciplinary action. So this is going on. We have also initiated our own system. So this availability of information. So you go into MOOCs, online courses. Swayam gives you so many, Chancellor gives you so many courses. So you don't worry about the fact that, whatever you learned at BCom and MCom is insufficient. Now the world is changing. You can, at the private level, at the personal level, you can mend, you can actually compensate the lapses in the formal education system.
Thank you, dear friends. As we know, we have the Veteran Kurian Memorial Lecture at 4 o'clock. I think we have only 5 more minutes. It's time for Thanksgiving. So I would like to call Mr. Satish Wilson to express the word of thanks to our presenter and all the participants. Satish Wilson.
Thank you. Education is one of the most effective ways of liberation. It enables us to analyze the understanding meaning of everything and helps to place our life in perspective. At this time, it gives me joy to convey all of thanks to all those who have been part of this webinar. Firstly, I thank our dear principal for taking this visionary effort to arrange this series of webinars. It is his overall planning that makes this session a success. Secondly, I thank the moderator of this session, our own member of the faculty in Department of Biblical Studies, the Reverend Nainan Jacob, for his valuable presence in moderating the session. It is my honor to express our words of thanks and gratitude to the chief speaker of this session, Dr. Jancy James. It was a highly informative and thought-provoking speech she has made. Through her long-standing experience as an educational administrator, she has helped us understand the various possibilities and challenges the new education policy places before us. Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful talk. Reverend Daniel Mossajan has taken a lot of effort in coordinating this session. Thank you, HM, for your efforts and for the welcome speech. Finally, I thank all those who are participating in this webinar online, especially all our respected faculty members, friends, and well-wishers of the seminary and the student friends for your time and active participation in this section. Thank you all once again and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadish Wilson. Thank you, Jancy Ma'am, once again for your valuable presentation. And we had a good time with you. And it was an enlightening thought regarding the new education policy of India. On behalf of our principal and faculty and students and all participants, I express our sincere thanks once again. Thank you very much for supporting us and preparing and presenting the paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Okay. All students are requested to join the Witty Kurian Memorial Lecture at 4 o'clock, and you can continue to participate this program. Thank you very much.